Alrighty, happy Tuesday, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started here. This is going to be episode 5 to how I reverse polycystic kidney disease type 1. And this playlist is going to be in the description of this video. I've been posting these videos on a couple of really great Facebook groups for polycystic kidney disease, primarily revolving around the ketogenic community. There's a lot of polycystic kidney disease groups out there on Facebook, Reddit. You will be banned if you talk about nutrition. I have been banned and I've been silenced in quite a few of them. Some of them have tens and tens of thousands of people. It is very sad and heartbreaking, but you want to know what? When you go ahead and say to a group of people, hey, do you think it's maybe the factory-made food that we are putting into our body that is contributing to our health problems? And when you go ahead and have people that jump all over you saying, you have a genetic disease, there's nothing you can do about it, it is the way that you are put together. Really? So there's nothing I can do about it. And you're telling me the factory-made food doesn't contribute to my health? Well, then I'm going to wake up and I'm just going to eat ice cream sandwiches. Okay, yeah, well, that's not the best thing to do. Whoa, 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 whoa! But you just said that nutrition doesn't matter. So, I guess maybe it does matter. Well, okay. You shouldn't be waking up and eating ice cream sandwiches. Well, then, how can you say nutrition doesn't matter? When you go ahead and expose people, they will go ahead and turn into the most savage beasts on the planet. In the last year, I have been dealing with a lot of people, unfortunately, with polycystic kidney disease that truly believe that nutrition does not matter. It is, I honestly don't want to say it's a mental illness, but you got psychological problems if you truly do not believe. If you truly believe that factory-made food, fast food, McDonald's, Burger King, even these fast food deli restaurants. One deli restaurant that I used to eat at, Jersey Mike's, and also another good one is Jimmy John's. I hate to break it to you, but their subs are so great and amazing. It's all processed meat. It's processed food. It's high in sodium, high in carbs, high in hidden sugars. It's going to spike your blood sugar. It's going to keep your insulin remaining high. It's not the best for you to make a priority. So it's I kind of really rambled on here a little bit for an opening monologue, but the point being is that there are so many people with this condition that just will harp on you in a heartbeat. Oh, it's not really the best to go low carb. You mean to stop eating the ice creams, the sugar, the fast food, the pasta, the bread? Fun fact, did you know that wheat here in America is not the same wheat that you would have eaten 2,000 years ago when Christ walked on water? Yeah, that's right. Bread here in America is not the same type of bread as 2,000 years ago during biblical times. Even though I'm a firm believer that biblical times are still happening, and we are living in biblical times, and I do believe that there is going to be a very big awakening to all the corruption among the poor nutritional value for the last almost 60, 70 years of the food pyramid, where you have to run on grains. Because since I have literally removed grains from my body for close to 2 years now, I can't tell you how amazing I feel. Do I still have some issues here and there? Of course, everyone has some issues here and there, but I can tell you that my polycystic kidney disease, well, when it comes to tracking it with images, blood work, it's not an issue for me anymore. So if you're really facing a lot of opposition, such as a lot of maybe people demotivating you, just go ahead and think about that. When you have such a large group of people telling you that something is not a bother, but it is a artificial man-made food, and you should avoid Mother Nature, such as 100% grass-fed beef because it's red meat, there's some flaws there. But that's oh man, I got a lot of videos I gotta make. I did get the 15-minute video hold removed, so I can definitely go ahead and ramble on a little more of some fun and interesting facts. As always, I highly encourage each and every single viewer and listener to go ahead and fact check me. If you don't believe something I'm saying, look it up, but understand where you get your information from. Because if you are getting your information from a corporation that supports the American Standard Diet, then they're going to tell you that a ketogenic diet is bad for you. If you go ahead and get your information from a ketogenic doctor, then you're going to find what you're looking for. You got to remember that. Last year when I started doing this, I found so much information about how bad a ketogenic diet is to your health, and it's all from companies that are backed by the processed food companies. You got to really dive into it. Or it's primarily backed by a bunch of crazy vegans that think you should be eating grains and plants, and meat is really bad for you. Okay, sure, you do you. You're gonna have to probably supplement some stuff, but okay, anyways, little off topic here. So this playlist is going to be in the description, along with this playlist too. All my medical records are in these videos primarily. Not to mention, I'm a case study for anyone that does not know on Dr. Santa Barbara Nutrients channel. I believe it's in, here it is, case report, improving polycystic kidney disease. This case report has my ketogenic information in there, so a keto diet. And it also does have some of my carnivore results in there as well. I will be getting a third MRI probably sometime in April. And oh man, I can't wait for that. But my current ultrasound does show that my kidneys have drastically reversed in size, which is unreal. So today's video is episode 5, and I want to be talking about tactically taming post-meal glucose surges. This case study is going to be down below, and I want to cover about how to properly have a cheat meal. Yes, a cheat meal, believe it or not. I really should have maybe made this video before the holidays, but then again, I don't promote cheat meals. Full disclosure, I have not had a legitimate cheat meal since Christmas of last year, 2024. Yes, that's right. I have not left a ketogenic state since post-Christmas of last year. Last year, I was kicked out of ketosis for about 10 days, although I was popping ketones post my meal very high, and then I would wake up in the morning, my ketone levels would be like not above 0.5. So my body struggled to get into a solid state of ketosis. It took me roughly about 10 days. So for me, I'm not really looking to leave ketosis because there's really no reason for me to. I feel great, and my polycystic kidney disease has reversed, so why would I? If I really want to have a cheat day, I'm going to go ahead and make some homemade ice cream. And that's really for me. If you're on the opposite side and you really want a cheat day, I'm going to go ahead and cover right now about how to properly do it, because there is a way for you to properly have a cheat meal, like a legitimate cheat meal, and not like maybe cause some detrimental damage in the terms of staying in ketosis, versus if you have a cheat meal in the improper way. So I really wish that I knew about all this stuff before I started doing this. But then again, I mean, nobody really does. You kind of really learn it. Last year when I started embarking on this adventure, I was I was basically pretty much a typical person suffering sugar cravings. I was having a cheat meal like every 2 weeks, sometimes every week. And one cheat meal every 2 weeks then turned into a cheat meal once a week. And I just felt terrible because I was leaving ketosis, I was entering ketosis, I was leaving it, entering it, leaving it, entering it. My body was going through a shell shock period. My sleep was all over the place. And I did not give my body enough time to really adapt and enough time to really heal. However, I will say this. Behavioral health is everything. If you have poor behavioral health, it can affect your blood pressure, it can affect your blood sugar, it can affect your insulin levels by your cortisol levels, it can affect adrenaline glands, it can affect a weight loss gain stall in either direction. Stress can make you lose weight, stress can make you gain weight, all based around cortisol, insulin levels. It can cause depression. It's everything. So you gotta be mentally sound. And last year when I started this, I was failing all the time. If you wake up and say to yourself, I have to have a cheat meal, a legitimate cheat meal. I gotta have a soda. I gotta have an ice cream. I gotta have a pasta meal. I am losing my freaking marbles. Take a step back and understand, firstly and foremost, that if you have that cheat meal to soothe your mind, it doesn't mean the journey is over. It doesn't mean that you're a POS piece of shit. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean that you're a loser. This is not a game to see how long you can go without a cheat meal. The reason why so many influencers on the internet that are carnivore, that are keto, that will say they have been in a low-carb state for a decade, they've been carnivore for 5-10 years, it's because of the way they feel. It's because they don't want factory-made nonsense into their body and they don't want sugar cravings to come back. It's not a bad thing. However, a lot of times people, especially when they're starting out, they need to take the edge off. And I completely understand. And honestly, I totally get that. But there is a right way to do things, and then there's a wrong way to do things entirely. And this article primarily talks about exercising tactically for taming post-meal glucose spikes. We're going to be talking about this a little bit. However, this article lacks a very important thing when it comes to blood sugar spikes, and it is so important to polycystic kidney disease. Let me go ahead and further back up for polycystic kidney disease. It results around high levels of insulin and high levels of blood sugar. Prime example, what I was doing which caused my problem. I ended up waking up after about 7-8 hours of sleep, and I would have over 100 grams of sugar first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Barely any protein, barely any fiber. Actually, like a little bit of fiber, some bread I was eating, but that was like nothing, and hardly any fat. It was all sugar and it was all carbs. Carbs are essentially sugars when you really look at them entirely, especially refined sugars from like sugary yogurt, sugary jam, sugary coffee from Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts. It's all the same. Sugar on an empty stomach with no protein, no fiber, no fat. Boom. Your blood sugar goes massively high. Your insulin goes massively high to bring your blood sugar down, but your insulin remains elevated which activates mTOR, which over time, it makes the cyst grow. So, this is a problem, especially when you are in ketosis, because high levels of blood sugar spikes will completely annihilate your ketones. It will kick you out of ketosis. And your body will then start using blood sugar for fuel because it's so massively high, and you need to burn off the blood sugar. We as human beings, we have two fuel sources. Protein is not a fuel source, it's a macronutrient. Macronutrients, there's three of them. You got protein, you got fat, and you got carbs. However, the two fuel sources are carbs and fats. But carbs get burned before fat. So therefore, if you are on a low-carb diet, you're more than likely going to be burning all those carbs that you consume relatively quickly, and then your body's going to tap into the fat reserves, and you're going to be burning fat primarily for fuel. But if your carbs are so high, like you're talking 4, 5, 6, 700, like on the American Standard Diet, a typical American, good luck. Do you know who burns those amount of carbs? They're called marathon runners. I used to do marathon style running in my 20s. I was shredded because I would run 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 miles. And I would come home and murder an entire box of pasta. All the carbs that I was consuming would go into my cells. Very much different. The average person is not going to be doing that level of exercise. So that's why it's very important for treating polycystic kidney disease that you really look at ketogenic diets and understand the science behind it. Because when you are in a low-carb state, you're going to be burning off all the carbs really, really quicker than you would if you ate hundreds and hundreds of grams of carbs. So, moving on to the proper way to have a cheat meal now. Once again, I do not condone having a cheat meal, but if you need to soothe your behavioral health, you got to keep your brain strong. Because if your brain is not strong, if your mind isn't strong, your body won't be strong too. So, it's kind of a little ironic because hypothetically, if I were to have a cheat meal, I would probably most likely would want to maybe have a soda. That would primarily be like my go-to. I legitimately had a soda like every single day for 2.5 years when I completely changed my diet back in 2021 up until my MRI in 2024. And I incorporated a soda into my routine every single day. So, earlier this year, it was actually right around the time I started doing carnivore, which was in May of this year, right before summer. I had somebody approach me from the polycystic kidney disease low carb community, and they asked me about cheat meals. And I basically gave my honest opinion. I was doing cheat meals a lot when I first started, and then in middle of August of last year, I made the commitment to do a straight ketogenic diet for 4.5 months, and the results that I got were mind-blowing. My progression had totally stopped, confirmed by images beginning of December 4th images. And I chose to have Christmas Eve and Christmas Day last year as a gigantic cheat day. 2 cheat days. Now, Christmas Eve day, I woke up and I did a high cardio workout. And then I had over like 500 grams of carbs. I had pasta. I had ice cream. I had some chocolate. I had a zero sugar energy drink, one of those zero sugar monsters. I had tons and tons of stuff. The next morning, I woke up and I was still in ketosis. I popped a 0.5 on my blood on a 16-hour fast. I was mind blown. The point being is that for 4.5 months, I trained my body to be in a low carb state. And the longer that you do a ketogenic lifestyle, the easier it is to potentially fit in a cheat meal. So you could theoretically have a cheat meal on holidays. But how often are holidays? They're honestly a handful of times of the year. Maybe where you are at in your life, maybe you can fit in a cheat meal maybe once a month, but that is for you to figure out. And the way you figure that out is honestly by self-testing. You got to shed some blood if you're really looking to go all the way. You got to also shed tears. I've shed tears in two directions. I've shed tears because the results I've gotten have been mind-blowing, and I also have shed tears crying out to God for help. You also got to sweat in general. You got to work hard. You got to focus on a lot of cardio exercises. And it could be something as very simple as going on a walk, like this case study is primarily talking about, really doing. So, 4.5 months, I had a gigantic cheat meal for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day last year. Christmas Day kicked me out of ketosis. It took me 10 days to get back into a solid state. During those 10 days, I had a lot of sugar cravings. I felt honestly like dog shit. It was not a good time. And I was very glad once I was popping on a daily basis well above 0.5 of my ketones. It made me feel a lot more secure. So the whole point is that the longer that you do a ketogenic lifestyle, your body can easily potentially handle a cheat meal. So back in May of this year, I had somebody approach me saying, hey, I am 2 months in to doing keto. I'm kind of just really losing my marbles right now. How bad would it be if I maybe had like a cheat meal? Ironically, this individual wanted to have a soda, which is the reason why I brought up me having a soda primarily every single day for nearly 3 years. So I basically said, okay, look, we got to be strategic about this. Otherwise, you're going to do it the wrong way, and you're going to go ahead and cause damage to a state of ketosis. So this is what I had this person do. And this person was just doing a standard ketogenic diet, not doing like a plant-based ketogenic diet or doing carnivore, just a standard keto diet. So I said to this person, and this person was also doing 2 meals a day, intermittent fasting, so 16 hours of fasting per day. So I said to this person, I want you to wake up and I want you to have 3 meals, not 2, 3 meals, okay? Don't worry if you go ahead and break your fast a little bit sooner than 16 hours. You've been in a low carb state for 2 months now, so your body can definitely more than likely handle like minus a couple hours of fasting. I want you to have 3 meals, but I want you to have your first meal as a very carnivore heavy meal, protein and fat. Why? Because when you go ahead and break your fast, and it does not matter, okay, people do this wrong. If you do 3 meals a day and you have your first meal at 7 a.m. and you say, well, I'm just going to go ahead and have a later breakfast at noon, but I'm just going to go ahead and have carbs still, that's entirely wrong. Your first meal that you have should be as little carbs as you can get it. If you're doing a standard keto diet, obviously you're going to have a blend of some fiber. You're going to have a blend of protein and also fat. But you got to make sure that on your first meal, when you break your fast, that you are as little to no carbs as possible. It is very important for suppressing a blood sugar spike on an empty stomach. This is why when you do prolonged fasting, like I do a lot, and I'll be making some guides, but I have gone days without eating food. How do I break my fast? Bone broth. And then what else do I do? Some eggs and butter, protein and fat, no carbs. You break your fast with protein and fat. You go back to our ancestors, hunters and gatherers. These mofos were running around in the wild, hunting down animals. If they woke up on Monday morning and they could not catch anything, they fasted. They woke up Tuesday, they couldn't catch anything, they fasted. They woke up Wednesday, they caught something, they spent the entire day. Well, guess what? They're now breaking maybe a 60-hour fast. They're not breaking their fast on fruit. They're breaking on protein and fat. It's very important what carbs does to us. If you fast for days and you go ahead and break your fast on ice cream, on cookies, on carbs, you will get very sick. This is very real stuff, and people take this for granted, and people don't understand how detrimental to your health eating sugar, especially this man-made crap on an empty stomach, does to your health. Doesn't matter what you're suffering with. It could be, it doesn't even have to be polycystic kidney disease. It could just be obesity. It could be diabetes. It could be cardiovascular disease. It all comes down to blood sugar spikes and high levels of insulin. So, ironically, this person ended up doing very much what I have first thing in the morning, which is just eggs and butter. But this person did throw in some pieces of bacon. So, this individual ended up putting a very carnivore breakfast for their very first meal into their morning. They woke up, they had a carnivore meal. Practically no carbs, butter, eggs, bacon. They broke their fast. Okay. They went about their business, and then they had their second meal, lunch. And they ended up having, it was pretty much a high protein salad, some shredded chicken. So pretty much you got protein, you got veggies, and also fat from salad dressings. I believe this person was doing oil and vinegar. So you basically got some, some we really got to talk about olive oil, because it's very important that people pay attention to a lot of olive oil that's being sold. It's very important that if you are using olive oil, you got to be buying extra organic, extra virgin olive oil in a glass jar. It is very premium. It's very important that it's glass, not plastic, because a lot of these companies, they superheat these oils, and you can actually get some microplastics, which are very real, and they've also been linked to liver damage. So if you're suffering with liver problems out there, this is something to really focus into. But got to make a whole video talking about that as well. And if you don't believe me, Dr. Berg on YouTube, almost, I believe he has like 14 million subscribers. He talks about this all the time. Very important. Microplastics are really a big thing. So anyways, okay, this individual broke their fast in the morning with protein and fat, had their second meal, which was a ketogenic salad. And I said to this person, do not consume your cheat meal, aka soda, with your food. Don't do it. Okay, this person ended up finishing their lunch, and I said, grab your soda and make it euphoric. You're obviously going to have something you don't normally have. Make it euphoric. Maybe listen to your favorite music. I'm a very big music buff. Whenever I eat, I always have music playing. Maybe pop in your favorite favorite movie. Sit back in a recliner. Basically, slowly sip on your soda, and that's pretty much about it. If it's not a soda, whatever cheat meal you're gonna have, okay? Why is this? Because if you go ahead and have that soda with your second meal while you're eating, you're not going to be digesting all the protein, all of the fat, all of the fiber, and that digestion is going to curb the blood sugar spike. You got to remember, carbs and sugar, they get metabolized like that. Metabolizing fat, protein, and fiber, it takes a long time. It takes hours for your body, some people maybe even longer, to digest. So there is also a reason why dessert is not before your meal, but after your meal, because it's supposed to be after your meal to curb the blood sugar spike. So anyways, this person ended up having their soda after their entire meal is done. And then I said, you got to do something physical. You got to go on a walk. You got to walk for 2 miles. You got to walk for at least maybe 35, 40 minutes. Even lifting weights, even biking, even cycling, running would be best in my opinion, but you got to do something. This individual ended up doing kind of a blend of a little bit of running, a little bit of walking, kind of like interval training in a way. Pretty decent workout, it's in my opinion. A lot of these exercises, you don't got to be breaking your back. You don't got to be running 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 miles. You can literally just be walking. Any type of just constantly moving. I'm sorry, but moving around your house does not count. You got to be doing something that's going to keep your heart rate elevated a little bit in a good way. And you got to be burning calories. Walking around your house, it's not the same as being on a treadmill. It's not the same as being outside on a road. You got to be doing a physical state of movement. So anyways, this person ended up doing that. For dinner, they ended up having a very low carb ketogenic meal as well. And then I also had them the following day do a longer fast. So instead of fasting for 16 hours, I said, hey, fast for 18 hours. Push it a little farther. Now, this individual was measuring their ketones. I forgot to mention that too. Yes, this person was measuring their ketones by urine strips. I've never used urine strips. I know that they tend to be a little less accurate, but they could give you a very good range, especially if you are in a solid state of ketosis. This person took their ketones before they broke their fast on the day of their cheat meal. And then they also took it the following day, right before they broke their fast on an 18-hour fast. And they were still in ketosis. So the whole point is that you can properly tame blood sugar spikes. And you can properly have a cheat meal. Now, does this method work every single day? Like, could you go ahead and include a soda into your diet every single day? In my opinion, I really don't believe that is acceptable, because sugar is sugar at the end of the day. Even if you go ahead and tame blood sugar spikes, there's really no guarantee. And I mean, for a disease that revolves around blood sugar spikes, it's really playing with fire. But if you're someone that maybe wants to have that Christmas cheat meal, there is a proper way of doing it. Maybe if you want to have a birthday cheat meal, maybe like some type of big pasta meal on your birthday or whatever it may be. Or maybe you just want to have a cheat meal maybe once a month. Maybe have a pizza once a month or you know, whatever. It really requires the proper way of doing it. And then there's a improper way of doing it. I guarantee you, if this person were to have that soda on an empty stomach, they may have kicked themselves out of ketosis. So that is very important to understand how blood sugar spikes work. It's very important to understand how protein, fiber, and fat suppresses blood sugar spikes. And it's very important to understand that just by going on a simple walk, you burn off that extra glucose. Because keep the numbers simple. Let's say your blood sugar goes to 150 because of that soda. Well, as you incorporate mobility, you're gonna burn off that blood sugar, and you're gonna tame it as well too. Now another thing you could do is you could very well do exercise before you have that cheat meal. That's another thing too. That's what I did last Christmas Eve. I did a high cardio workout before I had a cheat meal. That's also something very good too, because then when you go ahead and spike your blood sugar for glucose, the glucose is going to go into your cells in your body. It's not going to necessarily linger around, which is going to put strain on the kidney, and it's also going to make the cysts soak up the glucose. So hopefully this does help anyone out there that is stressing about cheat meals. Like I said, I really don't condone it, but there is a proper way and there is a improper way to do things. But here's another thing for motivation for a lot of people too. I have been in a solid state of ketosis now for almost a year now. Actually, probably in maybe 4 days, it's going to be a year. If I were to hop on an airplane and go over to Italy, and for 1 week, I were to go ahead and have pizza, pasta, ice cream, and I were to come home and start doing a low-carb diet all over, I would more than likely find that my body would be easier to get into a low-carb state. And as well, maybe for the first couple days that I was consuming pizza, pasta, ice cream, my body may or may not even leave ketosis. The longer that you are in ketosis, the harder it is to actually leave ketosis. So take that with a grain of salt. I really do wish that the best for everyone. Keeping everyone in my prayers. But understand that there is a right and wrong way to really do this. A lot of people really don't like hearing about exercise, and I don't understand why, because once again, I'm not breaking my back. I'm not deadlifting. I am legitimately lifting dumbbells as a 37-year-old. I did all that crazy stuff in my 20s and early 30s. A lot of orthopedical injuries. I lift free weights. I go on walks. I go on light runs. I go on do interval training, a little bit of both. I go on a track, so my knees have a lot less impact. But mobility is going to be your best friend, especially if you need to go ahead and have that cheat meal. Okay, I definitely rambled on here in this video a while. Like I said, hopefully you found value in this, but to wrap this up in a nutshell, there is a proper way of doing this, and you just got to really suppress whatever you're going to be putting into your body. Tomorrow I should be making a new video as well. If you found value in this video, please thumbs it up. Please pass it along in the polycystic kidney disease community. It's very important that people understand how to properly suppress a cheat meal, especially if you need to go ahead and have one because you're going a little bonkers. All right, everyone, take it easy. Have a great day.